Hello, fellow film and television fans. A good piece of cinema can make you laugh, cry, or leave you amazed. My name is Jerome, and join me on Cinema Dive, where I explore groundbreaking films and television shows. We look at characters, storylines, or camera techniques, and examine how they impacted the art form. We all love a good comic book villain, especially when he's transported to the silver screen. And the MCU has tons of great villains. You have Loki, Thanos, Ultron. Perhaps the most forgotten one is Helmut Zemo. I am sure I'm slaughtering that first name, so sorry. In this episode of Cine Dive, we're going to take a look at Zemo and see what makes him tick, why he was such a cool villain, and the lasting impact he left on the Avengers. There will be spoilers in this podcast, so if you haven't seen Captain America Civil War, then go watch that and come back and listen to this. First of all, let's look at how he attacks the Avengers. It's not through an army, it's not through direct battle. He uses their emotions and their personalities against them. So let's look at the espionage part. He frames Bucky Rogers for the assassination of Black Panther's father, which you later learn that he was dressed up as Bucky Rogers. What makes this assassination so terrible is that he did it at a diplomatic event with the world watching. Also in the background, while this is going on, days prior, Scarlet Witch accidentally killed people while trying to stop a villain. So already the world wasn't too happy with the superhero community. And with the assassination of Black Panther's father, the world was really pissed about that. Because of this, you had the government propose that superheroes can't just run around and do what they want. They should be registered as weapons of mass destruction. This splits the Avengers down the middle. You have Captain America, who believes that this won't be a good idea because he believes people have agendas and agendas can change, which has some merit with him because he lived through World War II and he's seen a lot of government positions change hands. On the other hand, you have Tony Stark, who is Iron Man, who, if you watch the Avengers or read the comic books, you know that he used to sell weapons of mass destruction. His dad dealt in weapons of mass destruction. So he is very cautious about the horrors of war or weapons of mass destruction. And he considers the Avengers weapons of mass destruction. Thus, Zemo has pitted two ideologies against each other in the Avengers. Captain America will be leading one team, and Iron Man will be leading the other team. This leads to the Avengers having numerous fights against each other. Although, as a comic book nerd, you have to wonder where Thor and Hulk would have fell on both teams. I tend to think Hulk would have been on Cap's side and Thor would have been on Iron Man's side. So now, let's talk about Zemo's origin. If you watch Avengers Age of Ultron, you know that the Avengers battled Ultron in Sokovia. Well, Zemo's family were collateral damage because of that battle. His wife and son were killed. Their bodies were not found until 2 days later. He explains to Black Panther that when their bodies were found, his father was holding his son's dead body in his hands. So right there, you're automatically shifted in your opinion of Zemo. Even if you don't like him and you still think he's a villain, you have to think who holds superheroes accountable. It makes you think back to all the battles you see in the Avengers movies, and the buildings are falling down, buses are being thrown, fireballs, lasers, you name it. If you're an ordinary civilian, that's pretty scary for you. I also want to add, too, that this was something Marvel did not do a lot on film, talk about collateral damage. This was more of a DC thing. In the Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogies, in all three of the movies, you see collateral damage because of what the villains do. Some of it may be psychological, some of it may be physical, but it's there. Zemo introduced this into the MCU. The Avengers themselves did not escape collateral damage in this movie. During the battle, Falcon hits War Machine in midair and he loses powers to his suit, so he comes crashing down to the ground. Falcon is scared. He races towards him. Iron Man races towards him. Iron Man lands, is checking on him. Falcon lands, says he's sorry. Iron Man doesn't look at him, just shoots him. So right there, you see the viciousness coming out with the Avengers. And how collateral damage affects them. Now, if you juxtapose this scene that happened earlier in the movie to Zemo's explanation, I think it makes it that much more powerful. So what was Zemo supposed to do? No one was going to hold the Avengers accountable. He didn't have the power to lash out like Iron Man did at Falcon. He even says it. He tells an interrogation officer, I know I couldn't stop them. I didn't have the power. I was just a little man to the gods. Now, let's look at the last part. This is why I love this movie. You leave this movie feeling one way or another depending upon the ending. So, in the final scene, we have some more espionage. It turns out there were never any murderous super soldiers in Russia. The reason Zemo leads Captain America and Iron Man and Bucky to Russia, they all happen to converge there, is to show Iron Man a clip. We all know Iron Man is Tony Stark. So this clip starts. Tony Stark knew that his parents were killed in a car wreck. That's all he knew, or what he believed to be the truth. When the tape plays, you see that their car was intercepted by a guy on a motorcycle who shoots their tires out. Well, it turns out that guy was Bucky, Captain America's friend. This scene is beautiful because it's just silence. And you see Robert Downey Jr., who is playing Tony Stark, face just show this great depth of sadness. His parents were killed by Bucky. He shot his dad and choked his mom. When this video stops, he looks at Captain America and says, "Did you know?" Captain America lies. He's like, "No, I didn't." He goes to attack Bucky. Captain America grabs his hand, asks him again, "Did you know?" Captain America says yes. Right then and there, your opinions changed about Captain America. This guy is supposed to be the symbol for the truth and honesty. But he broke that to protect a friend. And not protect a friend from a petty crime. He protected a friend from murder to one of his teammates who he was supposed to be close with. So a battle ensues. And the battle is framed really interesting because you have Bucky Rogers and Captain America fighting Iron Man. Eventually they come to a stalemate when Captain America cracks Iron Man armor and damages the power battery to his suit, which lies with his heart. I see this ending as very powerful for the reason I mentioned before. It shifts your view of Captain America, but you know the Avengers will never be the same again. Yeah, this is comic books, and storytelling, but I often feel the best comic books pull from real life. So if we look at this in a real life situation, how would you feel if someone hid a secret like that from you? You could never go back to being the same. This point is further proven when Zemo is arrested. While he's locked up and in cuffs, how does it feel knowing you did all that work to have your whole plan fail? Zemo simply looks at him and says, "Did it?" Because the truth of the matter, his plan did not fail at all. And it didn't fail for two reasons, I believe. Simply, the first reason is that superheroes were not in check before this. Yes, they were saving the world, but that doesn't make the people that feel the collateral damage of the Avengers feel any better. Secondly, it didn't fail because those cracks were there. Zemo didn't create the secret that Captain America was hiding. It was always there. So they did that. Or I should say, Captain America did that. Even the later Avengers film, you can feel the ghost of Zemo. They seem disjointed, they don't connect. Even when they're faced with an otherworldly threat, like Thanos later in the series, they still seem to bicker and argue and seem a bit unsure of themselves. So I think it's time we give Zemo his credit. They have brought him back in the MCU television universe, so I'm excited to see where he goes from here. He's always been an interesting character to me. Well, go watch those Avengers movies and make it a Marvel day. Thank you for listening to Cinema Dive, where cinema is more than just a pastime.